So you are stuck under 1500 and you are convinced the problem is your openings. And please tell me why everybody thinks it is their openings. I got tired of coaches just guessing at this stuff. So I pulled 20,000 real games that players at your exact rating lost, and I found the exact move that threw away every single one of them, and I kid you not. The list has almost nothing to do with what they keep warning you about. The moves that are actually killing you are the ones that feel completely normal while you are playing them, and at least one of these is sitting in your last 5 games right now. Number 10, you move a piece somewhere. A completely reasonable move, except that piece was the only thing babysitting one of your pawns. And this man just takes the pawn, and you don't even notice for another 3 moves because it is just a pawn, except an extra pawn at your level basically decides the game, and this exact thing is throwing away almost 5% of your losses. All you have to do is glance at what a piece was guarding before you send it somewhere else, and this one disappears forever. Number 9 is the early queen. The thing every coach on the planet has been warning you about forever, and it turns out to be number 9 out of 10, barely on the list. But here is how it actually loses you games when it does. You take your queen for a walk to some big juicy square, and a pawn worth 1 point pokes her, and now she spends the next 4 moves running for her life while this man gets his entire army out for free. She is the strongest piece on the board, and she is also the biggest coward on it, so stop putting her anywhere the cheap stuff can touch her. Number 8 is the fork, where his knight jumps into the middle of your camp and hits your king and your rook at the same time, and you lose a whole rook and tell yourself he got lucky. He did not get lucky. You parked 2 big pieces a knight jump apart and left them sitting there like an invitation. This is 7% of your losses, and most of them never happen if you just look at where his knights can land whenever your heavy pieces are standing near each other. Number 7, this guy leaves a pawn hanging in the middle of the board, and your brain immediately goes, oh, free, and you grab it, and it was never free. Because 2 moves later, there is a fork on the table, or your whole position has a hole ripped in it where that pawn used to matter, and that one greedy grab is 8% of your losses. If you genuinely cannot see why he gave you something for free, that is exactly the moment you leave it alone, because people at your rating are not out here donating pawns from the kindness of their heart. Number 6. This man has 3 pieces pointed directly at your king. Anyone watching the game can see the attack coming, and you respond by pushing some random pawn on the other side of the board like nothing is happening, and then the attack lands and you act surprised. That little vacation move is almost 9% of your losses. When somebody is building up against your king, you defend, or you go hit something bigger. You do not get to just vibe on the far side of the board and hope it works out. Number 5 is the sneaky one, a pawn move. It feels like the safest move in chess. You are not even touching your real pieces, except that pawn was covering a square or standing in front of your king, and the second it steps forward, something behind it dies, and a pawn is the one piece in the game that can never step back. So the damage is permanent. This is 1 in 10 of your losses, coming from the move that felt the most harmless on the board. Just look at what the pawn stops defending the moment it moves, because it is never coming home. Number 4 is where it gets dark, because you are not losing material in these games. You are just getting mated. His entire army spent 5 straight moves pointing itself at your king. And you spent those same 5 moves doing your own little thing on the other side of the world, and then it is just over 12.5% of your losses, and exactly like this. And the fix is genuinely embarrassing. You just look at your own king every move, and if his pieces are gathering over there and none of yours are home, you stop whatever you are doing and you go back. Number 3 is the one nobody wants to hear. Because the move that loses these games is a good move. You develop a knight to a nice square, or you put a bishop on a clean diagonal, the exact stuff every coach told you to do, and it loses on the spot because it walked straight into a tactic you never looked for. 13% of your losses come from moves that look like textbook chess, and that is the whole trap. The more natural a move feels, the less you check it, so the obvious move is precisely the one you should be staring at the longest. Number 2, and this one is so sneaky it hurts. You move a piece to a genuinely great square, and on its own, it really is a great move, except that piece happened to be the only thing defending another piece somewhere else. And now that other piece is just free, and you are sitting there wondering where it all went wrong. It went wrong because you walked the bodyguard away yourself. This is 14%, 1 in 7 of your losses, and all it takes is asking what a piece is holding together before you move it, because half the time the answer is something important. And number 1, the single biggest game loser under 1500, and it is not a missed tactic, and it is not theory, it is that you put a piece on a square where it just gets taken. You slide your bishop onto this beautiful long diagonal, and there is a pawn covering that square. You jump your knight into a dream outpost, and it is defended, and it is just gone. The square felt like the best square on the board, and it already belonged to him. This is 15.6%, 1 in 6 of every game you lose, you handing a piece over with a move that felt perfect. So before you let go of a piece, look at what of his is hitting that square. One look, every move, and then go open your last 5 games, because one of these 10 is in there. I counted.